All good? All right, welcome everybody to the Ag Behavioral Health Working Group. This is our September meeting. I anticipate that a few more people will be logging on, but as a reminder, if you're able to keep your camera on, I think it'll keep you on screen for people in the general public that are watching the event. But understand if you need to turn it off and step away. I also wanted to introduce Consuelo, who will be providing interpretation for us. So Consuelo, if you want to introduce yourself and let the Spanish speakers that will be listening to you know the drill.
Sure enough. Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Consuelo. Voy a estar interpretando en inglés y en español durante la sesión de hoy. En un momento se encenderá la interpretación de Zoom y van a ver un globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla con el mensaje sobre la interpretación de idiomas. Hagan clic en ese globo y elijan el idioma en el que les gustaría participar y escuchar durante esta sesión. Si nos acompaña en su celular o su tablet, puede hacer clic en los 3 puntos que van a estar en la esquina derecha de la parte baja de su pantalla. Ahí van a elegir interpretación de idiomas y seleccione su idioma. Asegúrese de hacer clic en finalizado y estarán listos. Los organizadores ahora ya van a encender la función de interpretación y voy a interpretar en un momento. Muchas gracias. The organizers can now turn on the interpretation function and I will start interpreting in a moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Consuelo. And for those people in the general public that are joining this meeting, thank you for joining. If you're on the working group, you will be on the screen. If you're joining from the general public, your picture will not be up, but you do have the ability to participate through the question and answer button on the bottom. Please feel free to ask any questions or make any comments through that function, and we will be able to see that. I'm hoping that Rosie can keep track of that and let us know if anybody is asking questions. Thanks again for joining. And to all of you working group members, thank you as well for joining. Good to see you. I guess the only other thing to say is that if you're in the general public, your written comments are welcome anytime. And if you have comments after the meeting, they can submit that on the website, right, Rosie? Okay, great. Okay, working group, good to see you all. If you're able to be on camera, that's great. If not, I can see your names, but thought we would just check in real quick. The one big announcement before we get started is that Catherine Harvey from the OSP, Office of Suicide Prevention, has decided to step away from that role for a short time and will not be on the working group as of right now. Super happy for her. She had some opportunities to pursue some other things with her life, and so she is stepping away, but her participation will be greatly missed. She was a go-getter, so we will be needing the rest of us to step up in different ways to fill in those shoes that she brought. And if we want to go around and introduce ourselves, I can start and just let people know what organization you represent, where you're joining us on this call from, and maybe something you're looking forward to this fall, since I think we're like less than 2 days into it. My name's Clinton Wilson. I work for the Colorado Agribility Project at CSU. I represent Rocky Mountain Farmers Union as a member on this panel as the chair, or this committee as a chair. Actually, it's a working group as a chair. I'll get it straight. And today is why I'm looking forward to the fall, because I love when the weather changes. I love when the mornings are cold. I love when I have an excuse to drink tea or coffee all day long. And yeah, I love when the rain comes. It's just all coming in one day. Holy moly, it's been going. So with that, I'm going to pass it on. And if you can just introduce yourself, say the information I asked, and then pass it on to somebody else, that'll keep us moving so I don't have to remember an order. So I'm going to pass it. Since Sonia's here and we don't ever get to hear from her, I'm going to let her introduce herself since she's on camera. Sonia, will you introduce yourself to everybody and tell us who you are? Maybe.
Hello. Oh, hold on. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm with the CDA communications team, and I am the digital content and outreach specialist. I kind of tend to veer in the Spanish outreach area, but I work with a lot of, social media and communications. And I had the pleasure of touring the Legacy film last year with these guys, and it's really good to see everybody here.
And you got to pass it on to somebody.
Oh, yeah. I'll pass it on to. Did Julissa already go?
Nope.
Your turn, Julissa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julissa Soto, and I arrived at 3 a.m. from Dubai. I was organizing a World Health Conference, so I arrived this morning, and my flight was like 15 hours, and then Miami to Denver another 4.5. So I've been on the airplane like 24 hours. I haven't slept, but I know that this was really important. I was looking at my notes, doing my homework, and I would not change going to sleep than hanging out with you guys. You guys are a very fun group, very committed to my community. So, what else did you want me to say, Clinton?
What are you looking forward to this fall?
What am I looking forward to this fall?
And it can't be sleep. That's just today.
No, what am I looking forward organizing one of the biggest health fairs, agriculture health fairs in Greeley, and super excited to know that so far we have like around 6,000 Latinos registered to the health fair. So it's
Wow.
huge. I know that our goal is to register around 9,000. So because we're gonna be at the Stanley Event Center, so we can fit more than 10,000. So it's gonna be great. We're gonna celebrate the Posadas, the Virgin Mary. We're gonna celebrate health and wellness. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm just excited, guys, to see for fall and our health fair, which it will be December 7th, which I expect many of you guys to be present on that day, just to stop by, say hi, and see a little bit of the work that I do. So
Excellent.
now I'm going with Mindy.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I am Mindy Baumgardner. I am the Rural Outreach Specialist with the Attorney General's Office with our Division of Community Engagement. You're going to learn a little bit more about what we do as Alli and I will be presenting today, but I am sitting in Montrose, Colorado, over on the western slope. And what I am looking forward to this fall is I'm actually leaving for Ireland on Monday for 10 days. So super excited. So Alli, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alli Daley. I'm also in the Attorney General's office with Mindy in the Division of Community Engagement. I'm our Director of Youth Mental Health Initiatives. And this fall, I think I'm just looking forward to the fall in general. I feel like the summer was kind of difficult, and I really enjoy the symbolism of like a new season and a new start. And so I'm just sort of looking forward to the fall in a general sense. I'll pass it to Jacob.
Thank you. I'm Jacob Walter. I work at CSU Pueblo, but I'm on this committee for my experiences in production agriculture. I'm coming to you today from my office in Pueblo. I live in Fowler. One of the things that I've got a lot of weddings coming up this fall. I've hit that season. It's been going for like 5 years. I think this is like my 50th wedding. And oh my gosh, I've got to the point I think I have some shares in Hallmark for all the wedding cards that I've sent, but I'm looking forward to getting to celebrate some more of my friends. I should pass it on to somebody. I will pass it on to Tim.
Hey everybody, sorry I was off the camera for a minute. I was scarfing down my lunch. Tim Miller with the Colorado Farm Bureau. I am the Director of Industry Relations, previously State Policy Director with the same organization. I am coming to you from my office in Centennial. And this fall, I mean, I'm a big football fan, and so I've been watching a lot of football, continue to be watching a lot of football. I'm a big Vikings fan. We'll see how the season goes for us. But between that and I think I have tickets to the Great American Beer Festival in a few weeks too. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will pass it along to Megan.
Thanks, Tim. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Megan Shelton. I am the Culture, Practice, and Accessibility Advisor for BHA. I go by she, her. And for fall, I try to focus on things that I like about fall because I don't get excited that it means winter is coming. So I think what I love most about fall is the decorations and how everything smells like spice and cinnamon. And I will pass it over to Chad.
Thank you, Megan. I'm Chad Reznicek. I'm the Behavioral Health State Specialist with Colorado State University Extension and the Colorado Agribility Project. It is a pleasure to be amongst this group, quite the honor. And I'm coming to you from Johnstown, Colorado. And my favorite thing about fall is fall bass fishing because they start getting aggressive and feeding up for winter. But whether or not you can find them is another question, but I love trying to. So with that, I will pass it on to MJ.
Hello, everyone. MJ Guzman, community organizer, was brought on along by Catherine, and now she's gone. So just kind of here doing for the community. Let me know if you need just backup. And I am in Rocky Ford, but right now I'm actually house sitting Catherine's home. So I'm here between this Denver area and back in the valley. And I'm looking forward to just the warm stuff, the arroz con leche, the caldo season. Like this is my jam. I hate the cold, but I do like that about fall. So, and I'm gonna pass it to Robert, who hasn't gone, or Michael. I got in late. Sorry, I was on the phone with my kid's school.
You're all good. Yeah. You guessed well.
Hi, everybody. Robert Sakata. I'm with the Colorado Department of Ag, the Ag Water Policy Advisor. And what I like most about fall is it's harvest season on our farm. So all that hard work throughout the year, finally, hopefully we can get some money back to pay back the banker for everything that all the loans that we've gotten. And I'll pass it on to Michael.
Hi, everybody. It's a little bit late getting on. Just a little update. I have to get off of this. I was just called for a funeral detail in Steamboat, but that's at 2:00, so I have to get going. But other than that, fall is a great time out here. We just got a lot of rain this morning, which was good because we got none this summer. The colors are popping right now. In another week, they'll be really, really going. Tomorrow, we have a retreat at Warhorse Ranch, which we do equine therapy for veterans, first responders, and people with trauma. So I'm looking forward to that. We are holding a fall festival on October 11th and 12th. It's called Route Pumpkin Fest. You could just Google it. It's awesome. We keep it rural. So there's no bounce houses, but we do have this giant hay slide, which the kids love. We have a team of drafts coming down from one of our neighbors for the pumpkin. We're getting our pumpkins from the Front Range, and then we have a pumpkin patch. We got the horse-drawn wagon, and we also have a tractor trailer, tractor pulling a trailer. And then we have 4 bands. It's a lot of fun, and it's a real good fall festival. And it's going to be benefiting Warhorse Ranch. Also, just another update. I just came back last week from the Marcus Institute for Brain Health. It's for veterans, and I went through the eval for 3 days, and I'm going back for 3 weeks straight in January. So I'll cross that obstacle when I get there, but we've got a lot going on, and I appreciate you guys. And another update on trying to get with our Ag Alliance to get I brought up the idea of getting incentives so we can get those what is it? The reports out to the ranchers. So other than that, we're good. The honey is very slow because of the lack of water, but we're good. So who hasn't gone yet?
I don't think Richard has.
Hey, I'm Richard Harland, and I work down in Southwest Colorado for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. Work at our small mental health facility there. This fall, well, I just bought my first motorcycle, so I'm really enjoying graduating up from 50 cc's. It's not a big motorcycle, but it's bigger than my little bitty scooter I'm used to. Took my first ride this weekend and ended up in Telluride, and it is beautiful. I just love this state.
So good. Thanks. And Rosie, you're bringing up the tail.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Rosie Skovron. I work at CDA in our Drought and Climate Resilience office, and I help with the admin and behind the scenes work for this group. And every fall, I take a bike ride to an orchard in Longmont that does apple cider donuts. So Ya Orchards, if you're on the Front Range, and I spent a lot of time on the East Coast, so apple cider donuts are hard to come by in Colorado. So I love doing that every fall.
Sweet.
And I think,
what's the name of the orchard?
Ya Orchards.
Sweet.
And Julie just hopped on. So Julie, sorry to ambush you, but if you can introduce yourself and say what you're looking forward to this fall.
I'm Julie Elliott, behavioral health specialist with Colorado State University's Agribility Program, covering the Western Slope, and I'm looking forward to the nice cool weather this fall.
Are you guys getting rain out there on the Western Slope, Julie?
No, we're not.
Oh man, I don't know how it bypassed you. It jumped you, and it's dumping all right here.
Yeah.
And then, awesome. Well, thanks. I'm glad you're able to join.
Thanks.
And Michael, since you're going to have to jump off before we move to our guests, the festival, is it at Warhorse Ranch or is it just in Steamboat?
It's at Warhorse Ranch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, last year we got 1,500 people, and it was our first year. We were only expecting 800, so we had to raid Walmart and all the other places for pumpkins for the next day. But we'll have enough. We're getting 2,000 pumpkins this year. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool. Well, I hope it goes well, and we'll look forward to an update.
Okay.
And so we have two guests here from the Attorney General's office. They introduced themselves, Mindy and Alli, and we have set aside time here at the beginning. So Mindy and Alli, I'll let you guys introduce yourself a little bit further, the work you do, and talk to us about what's going on in the AG's office and the work with rural behavioral health. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Clinton. And just to check, about 30 minutes? Is that how long?
30 minutes is great.
Cool.
30
Okay.
minutes is great.
Interrupt us if you want to, but I will work on sharing my slides. Hopefully that will be effective. As I said, I am Alli. I work at the Attorney General's office. I have been there for since March of last year, and we're excited to be here to share a little bit more about our work. Mindy, I don't know if you want to add to your introduction from earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been with the AG's office going on almost 3 years, and it was a new position. The AG had a vision where he wanted somebody based in our rural communities. And so, as I said on my intro, I am over here on the Western Slope in Montrose. So we'll hit a little bit about our work, but just really, I want to thank Robert for inviting us to come in to present today, and really very interactive. Please feel free if you've got questions, throw stuff in the chat or raise your hand. So very informal. So I'll kick it off to Alli to get us going.
Awesome. Well, we like to start our presentations just telling everyone a little bit about the Attorney General, since not everybody knows who the Attorney General is. The Attorney General right now is Phil Weiser. He is serving his second 4-year term right now. His title, sort of as Attorney General, he is the Chief Legal Officer of the state of Colorado. He's the Director of the Department of Law, so you'll often hear us say that we work for the Department of Law. And really the view is that he advocates for the people of Colorado, and that can be in a lot of different ways. And we will talk a little bit more about some of that specific work. So at the Department of Law, the vision is together we serve Colorado and its people by advancing the rule of law, protecting democracy, and promoting justice for all. And this can mean a lot of different things. I also included on the bottom of the slide our values, that we're principled public servants, innovative, and that we're better together. So we love doing these kinds of things with other state agencies and community partners to demonstrate all the ways that we are better together. The Attorney General has a few key priority areas that sort of demonstrate how our office is working to support the state of Colorado. We defend the rule of law. That's probably the most obvious one. But we also have a lot of really other cool, interesting work. We'll talk a lot about some of these other pieces today, but we are working to address the opioid epidemic through opioid settlement dollars. We're working on the youth mental health crisis. That's a big part of my role at the office. A lot of our work has the goal of advancing public safety. So the Attorney General's office has the post board that certifies peace officers around the state. We also have the safe to telephone number that we'll talk a little bit more about. The Attorney General has really broad consumer protection authorities. So some of that we'll talk about some specific projects that we're doing in that space related to mental health, but we also have, broad authorities around addressing fraud around the state. So if you're ever a victim of fraud, you can report that to our office. We have really important roles related to protecting our land, air, and water throughout Colorado to make sure that our communities are as beautiful as I think many of us remarked in our what we're looking forward to this fall, making sure that our community stays as beautiful as it is. And then engaging Colorado's communities and doing a lot of these outreach efforts. That's really the goal of our Division of Community Engagement that me and Mindy are both part of. Okay, and that's a photo of some of the members of our Division of Community Engagement. We just had an event this summer in partnership with the Denver Broncos Foundation at Mile High. So we snapped a fun photo in the stadium. But the Division of Community Engagement is really the open door to the Attorney General's office. Our goal is to do presentations like this or to be out in community. As Mindy said, she lives out in the Western Slope with this mission of advancing our engagement with rural Colorado. But our goals are really to think about how we can use the feedback that we get from community to better inform the priorities of the Attorney General's office. And just think more about how the Attorney General can best support the state of Colorado and all the Coloradans out there. And so that is some of our work at DCE. And we also have a bunch of units and priorities that we'll talk about in more depth. So I won't read them all here, but the one that we will not touch on today is mainly the consumer engagement and data services team. So I'll just give them a plug to say, if you are ever reporting a consumer protection issue or fraud, that's the amazing team that's answering the phone and returning calls to make sure that we're hearing the complaints from community that are coming up. They make it their mission to return calls by the next business day. So you will not just go, it's not like the void of government. You are truly really important to us. But we'll now kind of break down and talk about the units a little bit more specifically. And for that, I'll kick it over to Mindy, I think.
Great. Thanks, Alli. So I am with the Outreach and Engagement team. And what I would like to say when we said DCE, Division of Community Engagement, is the open door to the Attorney General's office, what I would like to say is there is no wrong door. So please feel free to knock if it's whether through our opioid response, Safe to Tell, our youth mental health. There is not a way. We are really here to be a resource for other agencies and communities and to be able to connect, if not to our office, but to other state agencies as well. Next slide, Alli. So just to highlight, through our outreach and engagement team, we are a small but mighty team of 3. And so one of the primary focus that we work on is the engagement of the Attorney General. So in 2025, he conducted 15 town halls, including statewide indivisible meetings and community visits, listening sessions. Most recently, we were just up in Estes Park related to a hospital merger. He has held 150 public engagements across 15 counties. And has held numerous meetings, rallies, and site visits. So part of my job is I do get the privilege of staffing the Attorney General when he is traveling through our state. So we just recently completed, we were in Grand Junction for an anchor visit with Club 20, and then we branched out and met with lots of other organizations. And then we were down in Southwest Corner. So Richard, down in your area of the state, where we met with Fort Lewis College, the Southern New Indian Tribe, and he was a keynote speaker for the Economic Alliance Summit. So he is, as you all know, he is a very busy Attorney General and really has made it his priority to be showing up to all of our communities. So specifically for my position, as I stated earlier, the Attorney General really had a vision. We already had the director of our outreach, who is my supervisor, Diana Noyes, and we had a bilingual outreach specialist, but we did not have a rural outreach specialist. So the vision really was to making sure that we had and were
Did she freeze for you all?
Yes.
Okay. I will maybe pick up where she left off, and then hopefully she'll be back on shortly. Sometimes the internet at her house is not the most reliable. Many problems to many people. Oh, Mindy, did I hear
You're
you?
back.
Did you lose me?
We lost
did.
you.
Oh, I've been saying a lot of really great things. You missed it all.
Say it again.
So
You just started talking about your job and your role out there, and you're ready to keep hearing about it.
Okay, so sorry about that. I was mentioning that as I said in our intros, that the Attorney General really had a vision to make sure that our rural communities were also being represented. We have a bilingual outreach specialist and then our director of community engagement that covers the whole state. But really, my job is to ensure that Colorado rural communities have a voice and are included in our conversation, and facilitate connections with not only our office, but other state resources, and then also to collaborate with other DLL sections for effective rural outreach. So in a great example of that, we have worked with our natural resources where there was some PFAS, the forever chemical. We were reaching out to all of our water districts around the state, which primarily most of them are in our rural communities. Also with our youth mental health work, which Alli will touch on, just making sure that our rural communities and schools also are being connected. So a few of the photos that are on there on the left, we were at the Southern New Indian Tribe, where we were privileged to have a ceremony. It was the Attorney General's birthday that day. The middle picture is us at Tuxedo Farms in Olathe. And that is the Attorney General and his mom actually enjoying some Olathe sweet corn. And then over on the far right, we were in Delta for the Colorado Department of Ag Workforce Leadership Conference that they held early in June. So my counterpart, Oscar, and then Deanna Juarez, who is with our Office of Financial Empowerment. Next slide. So a little bit on Oscar's work. He has been with our office too for about a year, but it is not a new position. And he has been designing and conducting outreach across the state with Spanish-speaking communities. He has created a group that meets monthly, his Luce group. So if you are interested, it's just pulling together agencies and organizations that primarily serve Spanish-speaking communities, just to pull together resources. So if you are interested in that, let us know and I can make sure I get you connected. Next slide. So a little bit about our opioid response unit. A portion of my time is dedicated to supporting the opioid response unit. So it was formed in 2020 to prepare for strategic administration of opioid settlement funds. It also serves as the administrator for the Colorado Opioid Abatement Council, who is the oversight body of these settlement funds. And they also coordinate the Substance Abuse Trend and Response Task Force and the Opioid Crisis Recovery Funds Advisory Committee. Lots of acronyms there. So to date, Colorado is on track to receive over $880 million in opioid settlement funds through 2041. Since I've been coming on, we keep saying for the next 18 years, and at some point, I don't know if we're at 15 years, 18 years, but as each settlement comes in, sometimes the timeline is varied. So that is why it is through the 2041. So how that money, the 880 million, is split up by the Colorado MOU, it is set up that 90% of those funds are coming back into our local communities. And those local communities have local control, and they are the decision makers on how those funds are being spent in their communities. So 20% goes to 20% goes to local governments. There are over 312 local governments who signed on to the MOU. And so within those governments, they can choose to either keep their settlement funds or they can route it to the region where 60% of the funds are going. I think today we only have about 41 of the 312 local governments that have opted in to keep those funds. The rest have routed their money to the regional opioid abatement councils. 10% goes to an infrastructure share, which we're going to talk about as we have some funding opportunity coming out through that. And then the final 10% also goes to the state share, which some of that provides the funding for the administrative support, but we also grant out of that as well. So we'll touch on that in just a couple of minutes. So how are the regional shares divided up? As you can see, we have a smaller map, and I think our next slide is a little bigger, but there are 19 specific regions. Of course, it doesn't align with any other map in the state. It doesn't align with BHA. I don't think it aligns with CDOT. I don't think it aligns with our COGS. So we have yet another map that we need to follow with all of the regions. But to date, those regions have requested over $111 million in opioid settlement funds. What is really great about this is that all of these funds have to be tracked and reported with the accountability piece, and they can only be spent on approved purposes. And so we have a very extensive dashboard, which when I get done talking and kick it over to Alli, I will put the link to the dashboard where you can go in and look to see what the regions are doing, what they have prioritized, where they're spending their money. But every dollar is accounted for, and Colorado has been recognized for that transparency piece, that we are really leading the nation with how we are managing these funds. So this is the map, a little bigger view, and I know it sounds like everybody here is from around the state, so you can see where your county might fit in which region. If you are not connected with your regional opioid council and would be interested, I'm happy also to get you connected. And I'll put that information too. We do have points of contacts for each of those regional opioid abatement councils. Primarily, most of them meet on a monthly basis. So as I mentioned before, we do have a couple of two large funding opportunities. It should be over $20 million that is going to be opening up the middle of October. And that again is through our 10% infrastructure share and the 10% state share. So there is some distinguishing differences between the two shares. So this might help you decide if you are interested or thinking of applying to see which one might be more appropriate. The state share and the infrastructure, they do have different requirements and who is an eligible entity. I think one of the largest things that is the difference is one will pay for capital and the other will not. So infrastructure capital expenses are allowed where the state share it is not. So they are managed by a different, the state share is managed by our procurement team, and then the Colorado Opioid Abatement Council oversees the infrastructure. Again, I'll put this information where you can have access to learn more. And really the best way to get the updates on this is through our opioid newsletter. I will also put that in the chat, but when these funding opportunities are available, they send out a newsletter letter with all of the information. Next slide, Alli. So this just gives you a little bit of snapshot. To date, there have been 26 awardees totaling over $9.4 million in the 3 rounds of infrastructure that has went out. This next round will be our 4th round, and it just highlights where the funding has went. And again, that is one of the key components of my job, is just making sure the information gets out to all of our communities outside of the Front Range and the I-25 corridor. We would love to invite you all to join us at our 4th annual 2025 Colorado Opioid Abatement Council Conference. It will be up in Loveland on October 27th. Registration is open. It is just a really great, they do a lot of hard work pulling together the panelists, very informative, great way to network and to really learn best practices. So I will again put that in the chat for you as well. And again, how to get involved or stay, sign up for our newsletter. And then you can view a lot of this information is on our coag.gov website.
Okay. Now we're gonna touch briefly on our youth mental health work. As I said, I'm Alli. I'm our director of youth mental health initiatives. And the mission of my work is to surface, support, and empower schools and communities to address youth mental health and build connection and resiliency for youth. And this takes a lot of different forms. I work really closely with internal stakeholders that are leading on this work. So for the Attorney General's office, we have a lot of units that are working on really important litigation that supports youth mental health. That includes pending litigation that we have right now with Meta. That's the company that owns Instagram and Facebook. So working on that right now, which we hope we're able to get relieved so that we can hold that company accountable for how it's had impacts on youth mental health. We're also investigating TikTok. We're always thinking about what the next concerning trends are that are impacting youth. So whether that's through technology, one of our largest sources of funding for the work that I did was also in partnership with the team that was litigating against Juul, the vaping company. The state was able to recover close to $30 million from Juul to be able to be distributed back to community to support the goals of reducing youth vaping. But there's, so I work really closely a lot with those internal stakeholders to make sure that we are hearing what community wants and helping that inform our litigation, and then helping that litigation team also think about what the community's needs are when they're negotiating settlements and things like that. And then I also work to identify areas of engagement around youth mental health that sort of align with our priorities. So sometimes that also might mean working closely with the legislature on legislation that supports youth mental health. We worked closely on a bill last year around having smartphone policies in schools to reduce the distraction of smartphones in schools. So the work is pretty broad. Our year in review, this is more photos from the event that we had in partnership with the Denver Broncos Foundation. We, at Mile High, we had a wonderful youth panel. So that's my favorite photo to include, is at the end of the youth panel, they were congratulating and cheering themselves on, and it was wonderful. So in this past year, as I mentioned, we awarded significant funding from the settlement with Juul to schools and communities to prevent youth vaping. But we also wanted to think more upstream. So not only do our investments support preventing youth vaping, but really thinking about how we build those protection factors. so that not only will youth reduce vaping, they'll also hopefully reduce other risky behaviors. And then our event was held in July. It was called Teaming Up for Youth, and it was a lot of fun. And we're thinking of already about what we have planned next. Related to this work, we wanted to highlight our grants and partnerships team. Our grants and partnerships team gives or does grants and organizes grants in a lot of different categories. But the majority of these opportunities come directly from our litigation, and then those settlements or those fines and fees get pooled into a fund, and then this team works to distribute those back to community. So as you can see too, from fiscal year 2023 to this fiscal year, the team has grown a ton, from starting at distributing just under $2 million to now distributing close to $18 million. So it's a growing, really exciting team. Like I said, they grant in a ton of different categories. Youth mental health is the one that I am mainly dedicated to. The map that is displayed on the screen is the map of the map of grantees that got funding from the Juul settlement. Like Mindy was talking about with our opioid work, it's really important to us that we are able to get applications and fund opportunities throughout the state. And so you'll see, hopefully in these sort of symbols, the symbols are just because there was 3 different rounds of funding. So that's why they're in different color codes. But you can see the distribution around the state for those projects. The grants team also helps support the work of the opioid response team. We have an Office of Financial Empowerment that has grants to support community banks to enroll people in and make sure that they have bank accounts. We have a Colorado Partnership for Education and Rural Revitalization granting program that supports affordable housing and some workforce development. We've worked in elder protection, domestic violence protection. So our granting is really broad. And one of the reasons is because litigation is often it requires the grants or whatever we do with the funding to be related to the thing we were suing about in the first place. So that's why our portfolio is so broad, is, we might have a grant that's really specific to reducing youth vaping. So we need to create an opportunity for that. So yeah, they've done a lot of really awesome things. And then I think the last unit we wanted to tell you all about is the Safe to Tell Colorado team within the division. Safe to Tell is probably something you've heard about. You might have used it depending on how old you are and when you were in high school. But Safe to Tell is a youth-centered harm prevention and intervention resource. It's a phone number, a text message resource that students and adults can use to anonymously report information about concerns that they might have in their communities, most often in schools. And it's an exchange of information between the people who are reporting, and then those reports go to local teams that include schools and law enforcement, and sometimes mental health resources, depending on the nature of the complaint or the concern. This team, we wanted to flag a couple specific things. They do offer free training for students, school staff, and communities. So if your community would like to have the Safe to Tell team come out, they often, they do a lot of travel. They also can do remote meetings. They often are really busy at this time of year towards the beginning of the school year. But the training for students helps urge students to speak up about safety concerns, make sure that students are aware that the reports are anonymous. And it's a really great resource. So the messaging is often talking about how, Safe to Tell encourages the students to talk to a trusted adult, to find somebody in their community to tell when they have a concern. But if there's not somebody in the community that they can talk to and share their concern with, Safe to Tell is a really great option. And we have a really cool opportunity. It is close deadline. We have a Safe to Tell student ambassador program. So if you have any youth in your community that are interested in some extracurricular work, there are high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors that work with our office to provide insight and feedback onto the program to make sure that it's youth-centered and youth-informed. So the student ambassador programs in the past have done rebranding for Safe to Tell. They've helped with new slogans to make Safe to Tell seem more positive and proactive rather than reactive. They've done a lot of really cool projects. I get to go and watch them present every year. All the ambassadors get to present to the Attorney General at the end of the year. And often they're doing projects dedicated to youth mental health and how the Safe to Tell resource can be expanded and improved upon. If you know of any students who might be interested, there's a QR code on this slide for them to apply. The opportunity to apply closes tomorrow. So I know it's a really short deadline, but we really want statewide representation of our ambassadors because every community is using Safe to Tell differently. The reports that they get are different. And the engagement is different. So it's really important to us that there are ambassadors from all over the place. And oftentimes we end up with some ambassadors that are more metro area focused. So we wanted to flag this opportunity, even understanding that it is more last minute. But the application is short, and I definitely encourage you to send it out to anyone you think might be interested. Okay, I think that's everything. Question.
That was awesome. Yeah, no, thank you so much. You guys gave us so much information and great clear slides. So gonna open it up to the group. It looks like Ulyssa has her hand raised, and anyone else, feel free to raise your hand and ask a question, and we can do that. Go for it, Ulyssa.
This question it's a question and a comment for Mindy. Mindy, your units and priorities, outreach, multicultural outreach, you do talk about the Spanish-speaking community and the group that you have. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because in my experience, when Phil Weiser is out there, and please don't take this as an offensive, anything like that, my friend. I'm just trying to figure things out. I noticed that he works a lot with the Village Exchange, with it seems to me that some of the organizations that you guys work with are your favorite or maybe your priority. And I just want to understand if you work with Amigos de Mexico, all of those other organizations that they're grassroots and work with my community. And then I have a question also for the youth mental health. So if you can respond to me, and then I'll go with Alli.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your question. So I believe we are really working hard to stretch across all organizations. So Oscar, my counterpart, he has Latinx for Unity for community engagement, LUCE. And so it has brought in working very closely with CIRC and with Towards Justice. And I'm sure he can respond and give you, I would be happy to connect you with him and to figure out how we also bring you in. I think we can always do better with our work. And I think we are really trying to figure out how we do that with making sure everything is accessible, from language to where we're holding events and things of that. So we are working to improve that. I will get your information and then make sure that we connect you with Oscar so that he can provide you with more detail about who we are working with and the work that he has been able to pull together over the last year.
Thank you, Mindy, because I run a collaborative that is called AHAC, Immigrant Health Access Collaborative. And I have not heard from your initiatives.
Okay.
And we have more than 150 agencies registered with us, and specifically those that focuses on immigrants, agriculture workers, and all of that. And we get together once a month, and I would love to hear a little bit more from you guys, okay?
So are you based up in Greeley?
No, we're based in Denver, but
Okay.
our work is statewide.
Okay, very good.
And for Alli, I noticed that in your pictures, your pictures were not diverse at all. And when we're talking about youth groups and youth mental health, I noticed also that our Latino children does not participate as much. And I would love to hear a little bit about your initiatives or best practices when it comes to Latino children, Latino families, and your youth mental health groups. And if you have those groups, that they're focusing on your largest minority in the state of Colorado, which is Latino children.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the photos I showed were our staff, which you're right, is not the most diverse staff. The group of youth that we had on the stage, we worked with an organization called Colorado Young Leaders, and we did have we had two Latino gentlemen that were on the stage with us. So we but I, like Mindy said, I think we can always improve. There's organizations that we have had introductions with, and then there's lots of ones we haven't met yet. And so if there's organizations that we should be plugged in with, I think we would love to do that. That's the role of the Office of Community Engagement, is just to continue to learn and engage. So we would love that.
Yes, I would love to introduce you to an organization that is focusing on youth, specifically Latino youth. Organización Hispanidad. I don't know if you have heard about them, but I would love to connect you with them because,
Great.
I will always like to raise awareness about what I see a problem, but I also like to bring solutions because, what would be good for me just to give you an opinion or say this is not right, this is not working, but not give you a solution. So I have solutions for you guys, and I think my solutions will work really, really well. And I would love to see you guys more involved with those organizations at a ground level.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank
We would love that. Thank you.
Awesome. And we can connect emails, Julissa, if you are good with us sharing your email. Great. Any other questions from folks? Lots of information, lots of good program opportunities, collaboration opportunities.
Usually got their hand up.
I had a question for Alli. The Safe to Tail program, is that in every community across the state, or are there some communities, maybe in the rural areas, that don't participate?
It's available in every community. I don't know if every community, so every student, it's like a publicly available phone number, so any student could use it. I'd say that the level of, like, if schools advertise it to students really heavily, or if they have posters in their community, we're required by statute to send out materials, like advertising materials, to every community, but whether or not they get displayed is sort of up to those communities. So it's a little bit, it's probably a little bit of a tough answer, but it is available everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Richard.
Rick.
Yeah, so I do remember Phil coming down to visit us at the Ute Mountain Ute Reservation also, and so I wanted to thank you. I had a question about something about helping people with fraud, and that could be reported. And I was just wondering if the people on the reservation, I'm not sure how the law goes and how the AG's office, are they, would they still, some of the tribal members be able to make a report and, to be just, I've heard about people on the reservation falling victim of fraud.
Yeah, Mindy, I don't know if you have a better answer to this. I was gonna say, I think they can still report, and if for some reason they could not, we would like to hear that so that we would also know that. I think it would be fine, and I can put resources in the chat around how to report fraud. There's Stop Fraud and then No Mas Fuerte. So we have like two different websites, and I'll put those both in the chat. But certainly I do not think that there should not be any law preventing them from reporting or getting help despite being on the reservation.
So Alli, I was going to say the same thing. It does not matter. And we are really encouraging folks to report if they have been, we're hearing a lot of immigration fraud, notario fraud, worker protection where folks are being harassed. So it helps our office, because if it isn't reported, then it's hard to know that it's even happening. So we've got a couple of ways that they can go in, either if you just go onto our website at the coag.gov, right at the top, there's a file a complaint, and we have built a great page of resources of different type of frauds, and giving you that maybe not only our office needs to be contacted, but maybe the Department of Regulatory Affairs or whatever it might be, dependent on what it is. So I would encourage you to look at our websites that Alli has put in there with the resources. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Great. And the best way for anybody on this call to get in touch with you guys, Alli or Mindy, did you guys have a slide with your contact information that people could reach out directly to you?
We do not. We did not put a slide on there, but I will put my email in the chat, and then
Perfect.
Mindy can throw hers in there too.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way.
That's great. Well, we're going to move forward with the rest of the meeting, but really appreciate you guys sharing this, and look forward to possibly, if either one of you guys are able to make the November 13th and 14th Ag Behavioral Health conference that we're having out, summit, sorry, lost the word, summit in Monte Vista out in just a month and a half. So we'd love to see you guys. And if not, I think maybe AG Weiser has said he would give us like a video clip, if I'm correct there. So that'll be good.
Clinton, you are absolutely correct. I actually am hoping to be there in person, as well as our Director of Community Engagement, Vanessa Devereaux. And then I believe we will have the AG piped in on video as well.
Oh, that'll be perfect. Thanks. And yeah, look forward to meeting you in person there. And before we move on, just wanted to acknowledge MJ just dropped a question in saying that she would love to speak with you further. She noticed a gap in her area from the map you showed and would love to get some movement going out in her direction down in Rocky Ford. I'm guessing, MJ, is that where you're? Yep. Southeast.
That would be
Heading
fantastic.
for all the Arkansas Valley out here.
Right on.
So from Lamar to Pueblo, that gap is where I want to focus on.
Great. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you in November, Mindy. Thanks,
Thank
Alli.
you so much.
And you guys feel free to stick around if you'd like to stick around the rest. If not, we'll see you when it works.
Okay. I do have to say, go Rams. I love that CSU is so well represented here. I am a Ram, so yeah, thank you.
See if they can figure out how to win. But yes,
I'm an
go
almost
Rams.
Ram. Does that count?
Almost. All right. And I realized that Rosie, I did it again. I forgot to approve minutes from last meeting, and I forgot to ask people if they wanted to add anything to this agenda. So I'm hoping everybody got a chance to read through the minutes that Rosie sent out. Is there anything that we needed to change? If not, we will go ahead and approve those minutes. Going once. All good. All right. Minutes approved. And any suggestions or anything that we needed to add to this meeting if we have time? We can try and work it in at the end. Think about it, drop it in the chat, or we'll have time at the very end for check-ins. So that's great. All right, so now we're going to jump into subcommittee updates. With Catherine leaving, we'll fill in for her in just a minute, but wanted to jump in and see, Chad, do you have any update on your lit review or anything that you want the group to know?
No, what I need to do is set up some writing time for October to start putting that stuff together. But I think in light of Catherine's departure, and I can talk more about the data and outcomes work when we get to that, but I'm kind of imagining, based on the systemic literature reviews we've come up with, that a basic, like relatively brief overview of that would be the introduction to this overall report. So just trying to look at how to maybe merge some of those things together as we get it more fleshed out.
Why don't you just flow into the data outcomes too, since you were helping Catherine with that, if there's more you want to talk, and I'll do the communications at the end.
Yeah, just quick update on that, and Richard or MJ, feel free to jump into if I missed something. But Catherine did a remarkable job in putting together all the different various kind of pieces. As a little bit of context, we've done a bunch of brainstorming on what are some of the best data sources to try to compile everything, to try to give us as much of a comprehensive view of what our rural and ag communities are facing. And so we just had a bunch of disconnected grocery list of different resources and links, and Catherine has started to put all that together. We are also looking to supplement the producer survey that our CSU faculty partners are doing by doing some more in-depth interviews. And so we have those sort of assignments designated as to which of us from the subgroup are going to be doing those outreach. MJ's already completed some of her interviews. I'm working on getting some of mine scheduled, but we're hoping to have all those completed in October, and just trying to bring together these various pieces of information to have a reflective final process or product, hopefully, that lets us know kind of what are the needs area, what are the best practices we have to guide us in this, and how can we begin to address that in an informed and educated manner.
Sounds great. Any further thoughts or questions? I know that Rosie sent out the data report that anybody had. Yulissa put in a comment just about the underrepresentation in that data of farm workers. And I don't even know if that data was specific to farm workers. When it said producers, I'm wondering if the language there, Yulissa, was more towards maybe farm owners, but I did find that same statistic to be really low. Didn't make much sense. But any other comments from that anybody wants to bring to light? There was definitely lots of information on there.
They're probably like, we didn't read it. We didn't do our homework. I was jet lighted, so I can read it. I was
That's
bored.
right. You had a lot of time on a plane. Man, I'm so glad you made it back. That's a long plane ride. If you haven't had a chance to read through it, definitely read through it. There is a lot of data there, and we'll keep trying to dig deeper in the ag-specific data that I think is still to come. And Chad, I don't know, we can bring this up at another time, but just making the statement that with Catherine leaving and her being the head there, you did present on that today, but if there's somebody on the working group that would like to step in and help lead those efforts, that'd be great. We do have an opportunity there for leadership. And I know that, well, you referenced MJ and Richard, and I think that Michael was also helping you guys out. But even if you weren't on that committee, if you have interest in helping that out, there's an opportunity for leading that subcommittee. So reach out to Robert, Rosie, myself, Chad, whatever, and let us know. Anything else you want to say on that, Chad?
Nope. MJ and Richard, anything I missed that I think would be important to just give an update on where we're at so far?
Unfortunately, I just had some conflict on my schedule, and so I missed that last meeting. But I'm just working on setting up those interviews. I've had some interested responses, but we just kind of got to schedule the time.
Right on. All right, and I was also busy, Richard, and missed my last subcommittee meeting for the outreach and communications, and Rosie was gracious to sit in on that with the rest of that committee, and so I've asked her if she would do a quick report out on the conversation that they had.
Yeah, thanks, Clinton. So our outreach committee met last week, and we spoke mostly about the summit, how we as a group can support RMFU, who are the hosts of our inaugural Ag Behavioral Health Summit coming up. And huge thank you to Jacob and Callie for coming up with some really great ideas. So the ideas that we are moving forward with our press release that we'll put out through both CDA and BHA's channels. We're trying to get in as many newsletters that are relevant to the groups of providers and producers that we want to target. So we're looking at Farm Bureau, Agribility, RMFU. But if anyone has favorite newsletters that you always turn to for upcoming events, please feel free to drop them in the chat or email me. And then we are also going to do some targeted outreach to specific providers that are within an hour of Monte Vista, which I will say was a very interesting exercise and perhaps speaks to why this work is very important. But the Department of Regulatory Agencies, you can download lists of any licensed providers. Thank you to Jacob for showing us that. And there are not a lot of folks within an hour of Monte Vista, which is probably not surprising to this group of people, but it was very illuminating. So hopefully we can get those folks in the door. And then lastly, our group talked about trying to get some journalists to the summit. We think it's a great opportunity to showcase what this group is doing and hopefully kind of carry momentum out of the summit with maybe some earned press and media. So if anyone has contacts at favorite news outlets, please also email those ideas to me. And that is all. I will say, if anyone ever wants to join the subcommittee, I know everyone has lots of stuff going on, but it's never too late to join one of these subcommittees if you did not initially.
Right
and
on.
that's all.
Thanks, Rosie. And the one thing that I'll say before we move on to talking about the Ag Behavioral Health Summit is if you haven't, we've sent out that kind of draft email that Carlyle sent to share with folks. Is that right? Did we send a kind of draft to the group?
Actually, I'm not sure. I definitely sent it to our
Okay.
outreach group, but let me confirm. And if not, I will send it at the bottom of our follow-up.
Yeah, I
email.
couldn't remember, but there's some language that's been written up to please forward that on to folks that you think would be interested, because it'd be great to get as many folks representing across the state that work with people in agriculture and people in rural communities. So taking that in, Carlyle texted me while the two representatives from the AG's office were talking, and he's not able to join us today. We did meet with him yesterday, and things are moving forward. They have a great agenda. I don't think we have a link to the agenda, but it is going to start on Thursday morning with the opportunity. Chad will be doing a land logic training, and we will, during Chad's land logic training, have our behavioral health working group meeting. And I am saying this from memory. I don't have the agenda pulled up, but then at 11:30 or so, we'll jump into the conference, and the conference will go all afternoon on Thursday. We will all get together at a venue out in the San Luis Valley outside of Monte Vista for dinner and connections. And then the next morning we'll get started at around 8:30 or 9ish, I think, with some networking opportunities. There'll be programming through to lunch, and then we'll have a closing session during lunch. So it's really, for those of you who can make it, our meeting starts, Robert or Rosie, remind me, does it start at 10? 9:30? 10 o'clock.
The 10, yeah.
Okay. On the 13th. And hoping you guys can all make that. Again, travel can be reimbursed through this working group if you don't have travel with your organization. Rosie can get you the information you need to get reimbursed for that. But really hoping that everybody can come. So with that in mind, Rosie has a link in the agenda that sign up if you haven't already. If you're able to make it to this, I wanted to give you like 3 minutes right now to click that link and to go ahead and sign up so that you can get that on your calendar, and as many of us as are able to be there can be there. While you're clicking that link, if you haven't already opened it up on your screen or signed up, there is a hotel block at the Baymont Hotel in Monte Vista. That's just apparently walking distance to the Sky High complex where the event will be. And I don't know that we have a link to that yet, but we will send that out as soon as possible so that you can get in that hotel block at a reduced rate. And Robert or Rosie, anything else that I'm missing that we talked about with Carlyle that we should share?
Yeah, for the work group members that do attend, we're going to probably be asking you to help us out. We'll be setting up several interactive times in the agenda where we'll have table topics. And we really like it if a work group member could be kind of that host for that table topic and kind of take notes for what those discussions are. It'll kind of be this table talk speed dating combination session. So we'll have a limited amount of time at that table. We'll ring a bell and everybody will shift. So it would be nice to have somebody assigned to each of those. So we'll look for those of you that register, and we may be reaching out to you to help us carry that off.
Yes, thanks, Robert. And just for those of you that didn't see it, Rosie did drop the agenda in the chat. You can click on that there, as well as, I guess, the flyer for the event. So, any questions or any thoughts on the Behavioral Health Summit? Although we're not the ones that are actually putting it on, it does feel important that we, if you're able to support it, that we can be there to support this event. Okay. Then moving on to Rosie and Robert with Department of Agriculture updates. And before we move on, I'm going to just make a quick plug. Robert got us connected with the Water Resource Ag Committee. What is it? Did I say it right?
Yeah,
okay,
water resources.
Agriculture Ag Committee. And I had an opportunity to go down with Jacob and Robert and Tyler from RMFU and Megan, who it looks like, oh, she's still on, and present to this group of 10 senators and representatives that are part of this Ag Water Resource Board. And it was great. It was a great opportunity for us to talk with them. The thing that I walked away with was there are 10 people on this committee, and I think 9 of them asked us follow-up questions during the presentation. Like, they were so engaged. They were so, curious about the work that we're doing and about other work that's going on. So I did leave feeling like that we got advocates in the House and the Senate that are wanting to continue to support this. So just wanted to give that update since we kind of represented this group and it was well received. So with that, Robert, Rosie, passing it to you.
Thank you, Clinton. Yeah, thank you for everybody taking time to go to that hearing and testifying. Like you said, it was a great opportunity. Senator Marchman, who's the chair of that committee, requested an update on our activities. And so, like you said, I think it was a great opportunity to be there, and they were very receptive to this. So the first thing from the Department of Ag update we really want to address is attendance. We know that, everybody is really, really busy. We kind of really understand when you can't attend, but I think it's really important for each of us to take our responsibilities seriously and those that we represent. So in that agenda, the link for our working group charter, which we developed and approved when we first started this organization, it states that work group members' commitment and expectations. And one of the first things that I identify is the first bullet about halfway through the document says attend all work group meetings. We know that's impossible, but I think it's really important that when you can't attend, we really encourage you to send a proxy, somebody that's representing, familiar with who you're representing, so that we don't miss out in that representation at each of our meetings. So we're proposing that we add onto that work group charter a statement that you can find in the agenda that says the Commissioner of Agriculture or their designee at their discretion can replace any appointed work group member who has more than 4 absences per calendar year where they did not arrange for a designated alternate to fill their responsibilities on the work group. Would just love some discussions on this, whether you feel like this is a good or bad idea. We won't vote on this now. I think we need to make sure we get this out by email to all the work group members that aren't here. So, but we wanted to begin this discussion now. So any thoughts about adding this to our work group charter?
Oh, Jacob raised your hand, but ladies go first. Okay, Jacob? Okay, thank you. Robert, and I feel guilty of this because, I do miss some meetings, but I honestly think that my colleagues and we're very busy people, but we're reading your notes. We know what's going on. And when we can, we show up. And sometimes we can have a representative, like, for example, I don't know if I would trust somebody to come to these meetings and represent me per se, but I will certainly look at your notes and what you guys are talking about, what is happening, right? And but I love this group, and I totally get where you're coming from. But sometimes you have some people who might be showing up all the time but don't do much either, you know? And sometimes you might have some people who might not show up to all meetings, but they do a whole lot too. So it's a double-edged sword. I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about that. But go ahead, Jacob. Help me out because I don't know how to get myself out of trouble. Go ahead.
I wish I wouldn't have raised my hand before you went. Lisa, that was yeah, I think that's a very good perspective too. Actually, I was just talking about this. There's a difference. It's like the outcomes. There are some folks who follow along with notes. And I guess I'm not going to be much help now, but I think the important part of this, at least the way I am taking this, Robert, is I think each of these meetings and each of these activities is building on from previous conversations, and to be able to keep moving that needle further, it helps when the entire working group is up to speed and knows what happened last, so that we can keep making that good progress. And I guess having this as an expectation helps, and maybe Lisa, to your point too, while I'm thinking through who would be a good person to fill in for me. Maybe it's not maybe it is for that note piece, and just keeping engaged on what happened, not so much. I don't know. You made it a lot harder for me, but a good conversation.
I know. I was like, Jacob, get me out of trouble because, sometimes I'm just very honest and I'm saying, I see that in my committees. Sometimes those who don't show up do a lot more for me than the ones that they're just showing up and nodding their head, right? And so I don't know how we can. I don't know, but if I was you, Robert, I will say, okay, this is what I need from you. You're not in the meeting, but Julissa, this is what I need from you by this day, and give us assignments or something like that, and we will do so too. So I don't know. I just think that are we in trouble, Robert, or what?
No, let's hear from MJ. MJ has her hand up.
Okay.
Right. So yes, I agree with the sentiments. It's kind of a lot going on. I want to address it with the perspective of pay. With Catherine being gone and with this group moving forward and with more work piling up, as a committee member, like I show up every meeting, there is no pay. So when we end up going to represent ourselves in different places, we need gas money. We need, right now, you just said, oh, go ahead and get this link for the hotel stay at a discount price. I'm not even getting paid for this. And I somehow still have to pull the resources to go and stay at a hotel if I am to be used as a representative, right? So I think let's just be mindful of our time and what it takes. I don't know who on this board is getting paid. I know I'm not. And I know that with more work piling up, especially with Catherine being gone, this work is going to rev up. And with more community being tapped into, the work overload is going to be heavy. So I just want us to be mindful of our time, our resources, and what it really takes for us to get this job done, especially us that are not receiving a dime. We really are just here to help,
Yeah, thanks, MJ. And so I hope we didn't miss out on explaining this to you from the beginning, but for your attendance for work group meetings, for those that aren't getting paid, we can offset those costs for you. And then also, if we have an in-person work group meeting, as we mentioned about the summit, there are funds available for both travel and for lodging if it's farther than 50 miles away. So I'll be sure to send you those documents that we have as part of this group, so you can better understand that there are some funds available for those of you that aren't being paid by another organization.
Okay, yeah, that's really my only thing, because I feel like I can be really anywhere and I can pull people now to represent me, like Julissa said, I don't know who can do a better job than myself at representing, right? But again, as long as we have the means to get there, and then with winter revving up, like I can just imagine the mishaps in the snow. So, it's good to feel appreciated and have that compensation available. So I did not know about that. I might have missed that. I'm sorry.
Sure. No, we'll get that information to you.
I did not know that either, Robert. Maybe I missed it. I don't know.
Yeah, must have been that meeting you missed, you.
Right, must be that meeting that I
We
missed.
we missed it together.
Exactly, but he didn't put that in the notes. Oh,
Any other comments?
I guess I would just look to clarify on the points that both MJ and Elisa said about finding that designated sort of replacement. Like, we have the luxury between Julie and I, like we're both part of the same team, and so we could pretty conceivably fill in for each other. Would it be possible for like MJ to forward notes to me, or email me something like an update or report if she's going to be gone? So at least there's a continuation, but knowing that across this work group, maybe we can work to support each other, because not everyone's got additional staff resources, perhaps.
I would love that. Yeah. And I think that would make it easy on the team too, if there's like that link between us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially for those that are on some of the work group, on the subgroups, because it's really those pieces that we need to sort of maintain some timelines and some commitment to deliverables. And I also get, Robert, from an organizational standpoint, like if we just have people consistently not showing up and not communicating, that doesn't serve the group, or the spirit of this, or the mission we have to the state either. And so I agree there's got to be some accountability, while also trying to honor the workloads that all of us are trying to balance and being respectful of those pieces. So I want to make sure our internal members are committed to this process, are taken care of, while also recognizing that it is a commitment and it's a responsibility, and the appointment does come with some responsibility too. So
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, I think that was the goal, was really, and this suggested addition to our work group charter is, it's at the discretion of the commissioner. So, I mean, just because you've missed 4 times and you haven't designated somebody doesn't mean you're absolutely out. It just means we're going to leave it up to the discretion of the commissioner at that point. Because we really do want to have thoughtful conversations at the work group meetings, at these meetings. And if there's one thing about reviewing the notes, but if you're not here at the time to have those discussions, I think that's where we miss out, and the other members that are taking the time to attend in person are missing out then. So that was the whole point, to try to encourage in-person representation, or to have somebody here. And we're not necessarily voting on things at this meeting. So again, to have somebody representing the people that you're designated to represent, and that's part of the statute, is that people here are selected based on different groups that they're representing. I think it's important to have that voice there in this conversation. So, any other comments? Well, let's give it some more thought. We're going to send this out in an email to the whole group so everybody has this information, and we'll discuss it again at our next meeting and really have a more in-depth discussion. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
Richard, looked like you came off mute there real quick. Did you have something you wanted to put a nice bow on this discussion for us?
I just wanted to say thanks for the idea of having a representative. I just never thought, I have a couple coworkers, but it just never occurred to me that they could sit in on the meeting for me if I got, I don't know. I am kind of a one-man show at our agency. But I'll work on if I can bring this other person on board, because I think she would be interested.
Yeah, I think it does. It could expand our horizons too, making new connections with people. Sometimes there's opportunities in that. So we want to leave that open to people. If we do that, you do have to let us know, at least 2 or 3 days in advance, because we'll have to get them a Zoom panelist link. Because they can use yours, but it's probably better to get them their individual link as well. But And just so we know in advance too, so we can identify who they are. But great. Well, we'll keep this on the agenda. And like I said, we'll send it out on email to the whole group and then continue this discussion in our next work group meeting. Any objections to that approach?
That sounds great. And we are at 2:25, and I'm going to let you guys talk about the next couple of meetings because there's a couple of modifications.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks. So future meeting schedule, October 28th will be our next regular scheduled meeting. November, if we did our regular time, that'd be the week of Thanksgiving. So we thought that's probably, if we're not going to get too many people to show up there, make it difficult. So we were suggesting moving it up to November 13th from 10 a.m. to, I guess we probably would be 10 a.m. to 11:30, huh? Keep it an hour and a half, or are we gonna make it an hour?
But isn't
Probably
it
11.
the November
the
13th,
summit?
we're gonna be in Monte Vista.
No, that's the summit.
That's right.
That's
We're
right.
going to meet at the beginning of that summit, Julissa,
That's
before
right.
the summit starts. So
Yeah,
everybody
right.
can come out, hopefully the night before, so they can be there. If not, drive out early that morning.
Yep, sorry. So that's the right before the summit starts. So just an hour on November
In
13th.
person.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have our regularly scheduled November meeting. It would just be in conjunction with the summit. And then in December, the same thing. If we held it our regular fourth Tuesday, that'd be really close to the holidays. So we're suggesting we move the December meeting to December 16th from 1 to 2:30. So we want to get that on everybody's calendar right away. Those could be important meetings because I think we'll see some discussions about, what debrief on the summit, as well as possibly our annual reports to the legislature. So I think that December meeting could be a very important meeting to have. Any comment? Not? Clinton, I'll pass it back to you.
That's great. Thanks, Robert. And then I was just wondering, did you make a note of that October 10th if there's any new applicants?
Yeah, so we are going to open it up to new applicants. Thanks, Clinton. So we'll have that sent out in the email as well. If there's anybody else interested in becoming a member of the work group, we'll open that up, and we'll confirm what the deadline will be, but we'll get that sent out in an email.
Excellent, because that'll be due before our next meeting. And we do have a couple of spots that people have stepped away from, and if somebody's interested, we could add them on.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Rosie, anything in these last 2 minutes that you wanted to throw in before we finish up?
No, I was just going to say that I think part of why we want to talk about attendance is because actually everyone here that's on the call right now, none of you fall in that attendance threshold of you're all meeting the requirement. So it's more that we want to there's a lot of work that's now falling on 50% of our appointed work group members, which is pretty much you all who are here today. So I think it's more, there are folks who haven't been able to come to, 25% of the meetings. And so one, that's putting more work on you all, and two, they're not able to represent the folks that we appointed them to represent. So it was not intended to be you all are in trouble or we think you're not doing enough. It's more that we want to make sure you all are supported. And so we think bringing in new people would be a way to do that.
Yeah, I thought I was in trouble, Rosie. I was going to send some chocolates to Clinton and Robert and say, don't kick me out, guys. I'm one of the only Latinas in here. You need me.
Yeah,
we're not looking
need
at
your
kicking
representation
anybody out.
exactly.
Don't leave me here, girl. Don't leave me here.
Right?
Thanks.
I know it's only like two of us here. I'm like, Jesus.
We're on different side of the state too.
That's right.
Don't leave me.
Thanks for that, Rosie. That was super clear and absolutely communicates what we were wanting to communicate. We got 1 minute left. I see that Nick dropped a statement in the chat for us. You've stepped into a role of trust, integrity, and service, and that matters more than anything else. It's a promise. You all got this, and we really appreciate your support, Nick. You are definitely a champion across the state for people in ag, and we appreciate you championing us. And anybody else in the general population that's out there that has any questions or comments, feel free to offer them. Any closing thoughts from any of you folks on the working group? Thanks so much for being here. We do appreciate it. And I think that our connections are growing. We've been doing this for like eight months now, and when I see you guys, I feel excited to see you, even though it's in this two-dimensional screen. So I'm looking forward to as many of people can be there in November, so we can hang out in person. It'll be good. So please prioritize that. And if nobody has anything else, we're at 2:30. Have a great rainy Tuesday. Be safe, and we'll see you in October.
It's
Bye.
getting darker and colder. Love on your people.
Woo!
See y'all.
On your people, yes.
Yeah. See ya. Bye, guys.